President Trump has called on radical Dems to fix our broken immigration loopholes and asylum laws. But those radical Dems, the rhinos as well, and the deep state have instead launched an all-out assault on the president's immigration agenda, his border security agenda, at the expense of border and national security. But word from Mexico tonight, where Lopez Obrador announced 15,000 troops will be moving to the U.S. border. And joining us tonight, Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch, that has uncovered shocking emails and more over the course of the past 3 years. Tom, great to have you with us. As we're looking at what is happening here, your decision to proceed against the state of California and to make that, I think it's a historic achievement in getting those voter rolls rolled back because of the questions that you asked and insisted upon answers. I want to just first of all congratulate you for that.
Well, thank you, Lou. That was a lawsuit against the state of California, L.A. County. There are almost 1.6 million names on the rolls that California, L.A. County specifically, has begun the process of removing, and it wouldn't have been happened without our federal lawsuit and a settlement. You know, when you have 1 million plus names in the rolls of people who aren't voting or are inactive, dead people who've moved away, that's a massive pool of potential voter fraud opportunities for those who want to be able to steal elections. So there are 3.5 million extra names nationally on the rolls. Now, thanks to this lawsuit, 1.5 million of them are going to be removed. Yeah. Cleaner elections in California nationally as a result.
A cleaner election across the country. The president talking about voter fraud and the left-wing national media, you know, absolutely mocking him for doing so. And it turns out time after time after time as we learn more, and in part because of your organization's Judicial Watch's efforts and those of other groups, we're seeing real results here. The president, again, proved right.
Yeah, you know, and it's tied to the border crisis. We've got tens of millions of aliens, both legally and unlawfully present. And the idea that they don't register to vote and then vote is just ludicrous. So there's a large number of aliens who are illegally voting. It's pretty clear. Numbers in Texas have borne that out. Numbers in Pennsylvania have borne that out. And, you know, frankly, Lou, the left wants to be able to steal elections when necessary. I think from the point of view of most Americans, every stolen vote is a civil rights violation. Right. And I don't know about you, but one stolen vote is too many in my book, whether it be 1 or 3 million.
Yeah, and what is deeply concerning is the various state agencies across the country, states attorneys general, all sorts, and by the way, the Republican Party. Are they taking seriously enough voter electoral integrity and the security of those votes? I don't think so, because I haven't heard any plans for 2020. You can roll out and get all the votes out you want, but if they're not legitimate votes, we're not going to have a legitimate election.
Well, you know, there's virtually no voter ID laws across the nation. Only 10 states have sufficiently strong voter ID laws. There's no citizenship verification, practically speaking, in order to register to vote. The Justice Department, every time, look, the president tried to have this commission. It was sued 13 times to try to figure out these election integrity issues. Texas started asking questions about aliens voting. The left went crazy. There's this desperate effort to protect, desperate efforts to prevent election integrity measures from being pursued. And it tells you that there's something up.
Yeah, something up, and the Government Accountability Institute saying point blank, what's next? Illegal immigrants voting right after the state of New York signed into law the gift of driver's licenses to illegal immigrants. A number of states, I believe now, stands at 12 who are doing so, and the District of Columbia. It is de facto citizenship because so much that is the privilege of citizenship can be secured through driver's licenses.
Well, that's right, and not only that, but it's easy to register to vote. You know, in theory, the documents say only citizens can register to vote. No one checks to see if that happens or not. And once you're registered to vote, even if there's voter ID, because of these types of licenses you're talking about, you've got the necessary documentation in order to vote. You know, it seems to me that both Republicans and Democrats ought to join in making sure this core civil right, our right to vote, isn't being stolen by shady political types who want to be able to steal votes, and aliens, both lawfully present and otherwise, legal and illegal aliens who have no business voting in our federal elections.
Tom, let me be pragmatic, if I may. It is unlikely that you will see a bipartisan effort with Democratic participation, since they are the ones trying to steal those votes, and as you suggested, have had historic success. It's remarkable the lengths to which the Democrats have gone, whether it is the theft of the 2018 election, through Spygate, and the witch hunt, whether it is the entry across those open borders of illegal immigrants, for whom they now seek and demand amnesty.
The Republicans are under attack from all points. Look at the attack on the Electoral College. They're trying to undo that constitutional compromise that led to the creation of our country in order to allow votes to be run up in liberal states to guarantee that only leftists are put in the presidency. Someone's got to say no to this.
You know, and another place they need to say no. We're over time, but I just got to make this very quick point as we wrap up. You know, Bernie Sanders today coming out with $1.6 trillion in gifts for giving tuition loans. That'd be $1.6 trillion in gift to the universities and colleges that are left-wing indoctrination centers who are running up their prices at a rate somewhere around 50% above the rate of inflation. Tom Fitton, always great to have you with us, and always great work by Judicial Watch. Thanks so much, Tom.
You're welcome. Thank you.